welcome back. We're going to take a look at the additional sketching tools, but this time we're taking a look at the patterning tools. The patterning tools are located right here, and we're going to go through the main tools themselves, which is the rectangular and the circular patterning tool. So we're going to take a also look at the mirroring tool. So with that said, I'm just going to start by erasing everything that I don't need, okay? And I'm going to start by creating a rectangle. So I'm going to start with a rectangle, but this time I'm going to give it an actual size. I'm going to make the rectangle 12 by 12, so 12 inches by 12 inches, a foot square. So 12, tab, 12, enter. Okay. So off of here, I'm going to create another little rectangle. I'm going to start by clicking anywhere in space and dragging. I'll make this, let's make this 1 by 1. So 1, tab, 1, enter. Okay, so now we have our 1 by 1 rectangle, and just to keep it consistent, we're going to make that edge half an inch from the bottom, and that edge, also that edge, half an inch from the side. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the rectangular patterning tool, which is right here. So with the rectangular patterning tool, when I click on it, this is the dialog box that we get. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the geometry that I want to copy. So I'm going to select that 1 by 1 rectangle. Okay, I'm going to now indicate the edge that I want it to follow. So I'm going to go and select direction 1, and I'm going to select that edge. Okay, when I do that, a little green arrow is placed on the edge. Be very, very cognizant of the direction that the arrowhead is going, because right now it's telling me that it's going in this direction, which is fine. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I'm just going to simply change the number of copies that I want. I want a total of, say, let me see here, let's make it 11. There. So 11 copies. So 11 copies on the horizontal, and while I'm at it, I'm going to also do the same thing, this time the vertical. Again, the arrow is pointing now, however, downwards. So it's a simple matter of just flipping the arrow, which is right here. Just flip the arrow, it flips it, rotates it, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a total count of 11. Let's click OK, and what it does is it gives me this checkerboard field. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so that indicates that we have a series of copies, 11 on the horizontal and 11 on the vertical. The border is half an inch all around, which is fine. We're going to actually adjust this a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to simply put my cursor on any of these lines and go right mouse button. As I do that, the pullouts and the dialog box allows me then to make changes. So I want to change it by going to Edit Pattern. So I'm going to click on Edit Pattern, and it puts me back into the Editing Pattern dialog box. I'm going to change this from, let's change it to 8, okay? But I'm going to change the size from 1 to, let's say, 1.5, or actually 1 1/4 should work. Okay, so let's take a look at 1 1/4 for that, and we'll do the same thing. 8, or actually, sorry, let's make it 9, and 9 again, and then 1 1/4, 1.25. So now when we click OK, the pattern adjusts. So The difference here is that we are measuring, theoretically, we're measuring, or in reality, we're measuring from edge to edge. So if I measured from here to here, it's 1 1/4. Okay, so we know that this is 1, so that means that the gap is going to be 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so it's 1/4 of an inch across the entire board. And in fact, we can, if need be, we can put in a dimension. These are reference dimensions, just to prove it. There we go. There's 1/4 of an inch. So this is what we have. So again, it is a multiple of whatever the geometry that we've picked. The benefit of doing this is that when we finish our sketch and when we do an extrusion, all we need to do is pick, say, in the center. It's going to find everything and then click OK, and then we have that. Okay? Nice little grill that's made. One of the nice things also when it comes to this type of pattern, and I'm going to go edit sketch to go back into the sketch, is that we can select a couple of representatives. So I'm going to select these representatives from here. And actually I'm going to make it, I'm going to keep a row of 2 across from everything. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in here, and I want a row of 2 all around. So these ones here, I'm going to select, and I'm going to go right mouse button, and I'm going to say suppress the elements. So it turns those into, what it does is it turns it into construction lines. When I finish my sketch, anything that is suppressed actually then reconfigures itself into a solid. So the rectangular pattern tool works actually really nicely. It does have its shortcomings, however it is a very good tool when we're working with this type of geometry. Let's go back into Sketch and let's take a look at, oh, incidentally, if I want to bring it back, there is a bit of a bug in the system. When I select this and go right mouse button to unsuppress those elements, it may not come back completely. What we need to do is delete without deleting the geometry, and then reproduce it once again. So it's a bit of a problem in that sense. It's a bit of a minor problem, but it's something to also be wary of. Okay, let's create another sketch. I'm going to create another sketch based off of that surface, and this time we're going to create a circle. So I'm going to create a circle, and I'll make it say 14. So it's a 14-inch circle. I want to create another circle, and I'm going to make that 1 inch as always. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is in line with the center. Now, there are a few ways we can do this. One of the easiest ways is just to create a line, go straight up like that. We can turn this into construction. You don't necessarily even need to trim this portion, because this line, after you turn it into construction, is simply an anchor. So now all we're doing is we're just saying take the center of the circle and then line it up with that line. Okay? So now from there I can also put a dimension between here and here. So let's go from here to here, and I can indicate that this is 5.75. So that's where it's located. Now, there is also a much more advanced way of doing this, so I'm just going to do the same thing. Hit escape, and I'm just going to delete the construction line. Okay, and also delete the dimension. So let's say I put it over here. So we can use the geometric constraints to actually do the exact same thing that that construction line did. So if we take a look, here is the vertical constraint, or force vertical. So if I click on force vertical, if I select, and it doesn't have to be the small circle first, it can be this first. So if I select this first and then I select the second, they both line up perfectly. The beauty of doing it with the geometric constraints is that you do not have additional geometry. So I'll just do an undo and show you once again. Here's vertical constraint, and this time I'm going to pick the center of the small circle, and then the center of the big circle, and that lines it up. Okay? Since it's lined up, if I say select that, and then I select that, okay, and once again, say 5.75. Okay. Here's our first circle, so we're going to use our circular array or circular pattern, and it works exactly like you would think it would. So first thing, you select the geometry. Second, I need to select the starting point of my pivot, which is the center point of the circle, and then I can indicate how many pieces I want. Well, I want 6. I'll keep 6 and click OK. So now I have 6. Alright, so what that means, once more, if I create an extrusion, there we go. So it's set to that. Now, just like with the rectangular array, if I go, let's go edit sketch. If I put my cursor this time on the whole center circle, which is right there, go right mouse button, and what I want to do is let's pick one of the circles. Let's pick this one. Okay, so I'm just going to select any one of the representations, go right mouse button, and then I'm going to go edit pattern. So there's my edit pattern. So it's back to where I started. Let's say I actually want 25. So now if I click OK, there it is. Let's finish our sketch and let's see. Once again, there is that little bug. So if I go and delete, make sure that I don't delete my sketch. And then if I go and extrude that again, I get that. Okay? Let's go back into the sketch. Okay, this time I'm going to select this, right mouse button, edit the pattern. I'm going to only make 10, but it's only going to be at 180 degrees. So it's 180 degrees with 10, click OK. What I get is that. Okay? So the pattern itself is highly adjustable. It's parametrically driven. Once again, if I go here, let's go edit pattern. Let's make that 3, and let's change the 180 to say 45. Click OK, and I get that. Let's click it once more, right mouse button. Let's change the 45 to 360. Click OK, and now I have that. There we go. Let's take a look at our last pattern. Our last pattern is that if I select, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to create some unique shape. There we go. So now I have this unique shape. Okay, I'm not going to put any dimensions, but I am going to create a line. I'm going to create a line that's about, say, right over here. Okay, so I'm going to use my mirror command this time. Mirror is also a pattern. So, same process. If I highlight that and then pick the mirror line and then click apply, I get that. Now this is a live mirror. Now what do I mean by that? If I grab this line and move it, it's going to move inwards and deform. If I go this side, it's going to do the exact same thing. See that? So it is a live mirror. Okay, a live mirror allows me to pretty much do as I require or as I want at any time, like that. Now, it is something that you have to be pretty careful about, because if you do end up changing, say for example, I'll change this to say 18 there, or I'll change it to say 10 there. It does also do a scaling operation, which you may or may not want. And the reason for that is because these are all tied in. Now, what I may also want to do is potentially anchor everything into place. So I'm going to use my lock or my fixed constraint. Just delete. Let's highlight and pick everything, and then fix it. Okay, so now that's fixed. So if I change this to 18, I get that. Now the reason it's doing that is because the geometry on the right is fixed and it is not moving, so I get that. Okay? And as always, we can also do a vertical mirror. So I'm just going to draw another line. I will pick my mirror, highlight everything, select this time this one, go apply, and I get this. And once again, this is tied to the bottom, so I can move it just like so. Okay, so that is the process for the duplication or multiplication tools, which are the patterns. So we've looked at the rectangular, the circular, and also the mirror patterns. Hopefully this helps and demystifies some of these tools, and we will be talking again in our next video. Thank you for listening.